Hey guys, it's Shikari. Mordekaiser is an extremely strong AP bruiser you can take into the top lane. He has tons of damage and does great into tank picks such as Ornn and Maokai. He also forces your enemies to spend 1300 gold on a QSS or he'll ult them and kill them. With that in mind, let's get into the guide, and as usual, there are timestamps below. Mordekaiser's passive is Darkness Rise. Innately, Mord's basic attacks deal bonus magic damage based on a percentage of his AP. Additionally, if Mordekaiser damages a champion or large monster via an auto attack or spell, he'll gain a stack, and once he has 3 stacks, he gains a bonus movement speed and triggers a spiral of metal around him, which will deal a flat amount and max health magic damage. This damage is capped against monsters and will refresh each time a spell or auto attack is landed. An interesting interaction this ability has with the item Dead Man's Plate is that if you auto attack while you have the item, it will count as 2 stacks rather than 1, even if the Dead Man's is at 0 stacks. Mordekaiser's Q is Obliterate. Mordekaiser smashes mace down in target direction, dealing magic damage to all enemies hit. If only one target is hit, then you will deal additional damage. If you cast your Q and flash, the cast will follow your flash, which is a sneaky way to get a lot of additional damage off. Mordekaiser's W is Indestructible. Passively, Mordekaiser stores a percentage of the damage he deals and a percentage of the damage he takes on his secondary resource bar, up to 30% of his maximum HP. The bar will decay if you do not take or deal damage within a second, down to 5% of your maximum health. You can consume your bar to give you a shield equal to the amount for 4 seconds. The shield will decay across the duration of the cast. You can recast the ability to consume the remaining shields and heal you for a percentage amount. Mordekaiser's E is Death's Grasp. Passively, Mordekaiser gains magic penetration. When cast, he summons a demonic claw. After a short delay, this will pull all enemies inside the claw and deal magic damage. On the initial cast of this ability, it will also briefly grant sight. This ability can be comboed with your Q very effectively, but you must wait about a quarter of a second before you can pull this off. Additionally, you can cast this on top of yourself while running away from the enemy to pull them away from you so you can escape. Mordekaiser's ult is Realm of Death. Mordekaiser selects a target enemy champion and banishes them to the Death Realm with him for 7 seconds. When he casts this, Mordekaiser will steal 10% of the enemy's AD, AP, attack speed, max health, armor, magic resist, and size for the duration of the Death Realm. If Mordekaiser kills his target within the Death Realm, he will keep those stats until the enemy is respawned. While using this ability, it will not remove enemy towers, so try to play around the range while casting it. Additionally, if the enemy removes your Death Realm via a QSS or some other method, you'll still keep the stolen stats for the full duration of Death Realm. You can show off a lot of skill with Mordekaiser if you time this ability correctly. For example, if Karthus is casting his ultimate, you can ult somebody and it will remove the Karthus ult from you. For runes on Mordekaiser, you always want to go Conqueror on this champion. It is an amazing rune for basically every bruiser champion and there isn't a viable alternative for him. After that, take Triumph. It's a great rune for giving you that little boost after you exit the Death Realm with a kill. Then choose between either Legend Tenacity or Legend Alacrity. Usually you'll want to take Legend Tenacity, however if the enemy has no CC, then you can go Alacrity instead. Finally, choose Last Stand. It's a great rune for outputting damage, and since you'll have to take some damage before you can attack the enemy, it's always a great choice. For your secondary tree, choose between either Domination or Resolve. Domination will give you a lot of extra healing with Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter, however the safer option is usually Resolve, while choosing between Bone Plating if you're in a melee matchup, or Second Wind if you're in a ranged matchup, and either Overgrowth or Revitalize depending on personal preference. For your build on Mordekaiser, you usually want to start with Doran's Shield. If you want to play more aggressive, you can start with Doran's Ring. However, it's quite inconsistent and it's a lot more reliable to start Doran's Shield. If you're playing against an AD matchup, a great item to rush is Seeker's Arm Guard. Additionally, if you need even more armor, you can build a Bramble Vest. Into champions such as Fiora or Aatrox, it's a great item to have. The first full item you usually want to build is the Andrews. It gives you great stats and helps you in extended fights. For second, you usually want to get Nash's Tooth. It's the best item for pure 1v1s on Mord. After that, you can finish your Zonias if you have built the components for it, but if not, you have a lot of options to choose from. Rylai's is also a good choice as it pairs great with the Andrews and makes it easier to catch people's Mordekaiser. Traditional tank items such as Spirit Visage and Dead Man's Plate are also great items on Mordekaiser. There are a lot of options to choose from on him with your build, so make sure to think about what you need in your game. Your skill order on Mordekaiser is very standard and stays the same every game. Level 1, you want to take Q, level 2, you take E, and then at level 3, you take your W. You then go on to max your Q first and your E second, taking a point in your ultimate whenever available. For summoners, take Teleport and Flash. And if you're enjoying the video, please subscribe. first few levels of Mordekaiser, you usually just want to farm. Even if you proc your passive, it still doesn't do enough additional damage to warrant going for an extended trade in the first few levels. However, once you get your first base and a few levels, it becomes much more viable to trade. You should also carefully consider when to use your ultimate in lane, because oftentimes, if you use it out of the blue, it can be a total waste. If the enemy commits to an all-in, or you manage to land your E on the enemy, then it's an opportune time to ult the enemy. You shouldn't underestimate the stats you get from casting stability. They alone can often be the thing that allows you to win 1v1s and catch enemies off guard. Similarly, once you hit level 6, you're near impossible to gank if you have your ultimate up, because you can just press R on whichever enemy uses the gap closer. On the flip side, if you don't have your ultimate, you are very vulnerable to being ganked, since your champion has such low mobility. If you're strong enough, however, you can 2v1, since you have a lot of healing and AoE. Usually you want to side lane on Mordekaiser because a really strong 1v1, has a lot of wave clear, and is a lot harder to get ganged up on in the later game because of your ability to ult people. You can team fight if it is necessary on Mordekaiser if you need to, but it is difficult. You don't have any gap closers, so you'll likely have to wait until the fight has already broken out to get in and deal some damage. It might be tempting to always ult the weakest enemy and kill them immediately, which is a viable strategy some of the time, but often it's best to ult the strongest enemy or the least mobile threat. If you ult the strongest opponent, it allows the rest of the team to have an advantage in the 4v4 that is left behind, while you will still be able to keep up the 1v1 because of the stats you can steal. Alternatively, if the enemy mid or AD carry have no mobility, it's quite easy to ultimate them and run them down. Just keep in mind that at this point in the game, people may have already bought the item Quicksilver Sash, which removes your ultimate. Overall, Mordekaiser is a very consistent top laner, with not a lot of bad matchups, and is a very reliable ability-powered champion to have in your pool. You can also very heavily count an enemy if they get really fed by removing them from the game. Thanks for watching the guide. If you want more guides like this one, subscribe to the Monster Rugby Gaming YouTube channel. If it's more of me you want, you can follow me at Shikari on Twitter. You can also see us playing the NLC every Tuesday and Wednesday starting at 6 PM GMT.